All right, so today we're diving deep into Psalm 7.
Ooh, okay.
This one is a powerful psalm where David cries out to God for justice.
I like it.
And we're going to be working with some excerpts from a source called 07MD.
Gotcha.
It highlights how David balances his very personal struggles with this huge idea of God as a judge over everyone, not just him.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
So let's jump into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
One of the things that really struck me about this psalm is just how raw it feels.
Yeah, totally.
You really get this immediate sense of danger and urgency in David's plea for deliverance.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not some kind of abstract theological concept.
Yeah.
It's like a man facing real tangible threats and turning to God for help.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so visceral, too. The imagery he uses is so vivid.
Totally.
It's like you're right there with him in the midst of it all.
Yeah, and he doesn't hold back at all.
Nope.
He compares his enemies to a lion ready to rip him apart.
Oh, wow.
Like you really feel the weight of the situation.
Yeah, you get it. It's not just an argument,
Right.
This is life or death stuff.
Exactly. Life or death.
High stakes.
And he names this guy Cush, a Benjaminite, as the source of all this trouble.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so who is this Cush guy?
Well, that's where the historical context gets really interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
The tribe of Benjamin had this history of conflict with David.
I didn't know that.
So it wasn't just a personal issue between these two guys.
Yeah.
It could have been a political one, too.
Okay.
Maybe even a threat to David's rule as king.
Oh, wow. So this psalm is getting even more layered now.
Exactly. And that makes you wonder, right?
Yeah.
How much of this psalm is personal?
Yeah.
And how much of it is about leadership and keeping a whole kingdom stable?
That's a great question.
And here's another thing.
Okay.
David doesn't just claim to be the victim in all of this.
Oh, really?
He passionately defends his own actions.
Okay.
And he even goes so far as to call down a curse on himself if he's guilty.
Whoa. Okay. So he's basically putting his money where his mouth is.
Yeah, putting it all on the line.
Wow. That's a powerful statement.
Right, like imagine living in a world where you had to call down a curse on yourself.
I know, right?
Just to prove your innocence.
It really shows you how seriously they took oaths and divine judgment back then.
For sure.
It wasn't just some abstract concept to them.
No.
It was like this deeply ingrained belief system.
Exactly. And for David, righteousness wasn't just an ideal.
Right.
It was at the core of his identity.
Yeah, as both a man and as a king.
Totally.
This whole section really sets the stage for how David views God's role.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not just about observing injustice.
Uh-huh.
It's about actively intervening to set things right.
And we see this so clearly in the imagery David uses.
Oh, yeah.
This incredible picture of God rising up in anger, armed and ready to fight for what's right.
I love that he paints this picture of God as like a warrior,
right,
preparing weapons,
right,
even flaming arrows.
It's so intense.
I know, right?
And it brings up a really big question.
What's that?
What does it even mean for God to be a just judge?
Yeah.
Not just in David's time, but for us today.
That is the question, isn't it?
Right. And that's what makes this psalm so relevant.
Yeah.
Because David doesn't stop there.
He doesn't.
He says, the Lord judges the nations.
So he's expanding it.
Yeah, so this isn't just a personal problem for David.
Okay.
It's a universal principle.
Okay.
God is concerned with justice for everyone, everywhere.
That's interesting.
So that brings up another question.
What's that?
How do we reconcile the Old Testament understanding of justice with our own?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Back then it was often seen as very direct, even physical.
Like God directly punishing wrongdoing.
Exactly. But today we grapple with how that idea works in a more complex world.
Yeah, because things aren't always so black and white, are they?
Nope. And what about those who seem to escape punishment?
Right, like where's the justice in that?
Well, the psalm doesn't shy away from the consequences of wickedness. It describes the wicked as pregnant with wickedness, giving birth to lies.
Wow, that image is so powerful.
Yeah.
It's like their evil is a living, breathing thing.
Exactly, growing and multiplying.
And ultimately, though,
Yeah.
they fall into the pit they dug for others.
It's that classic karma.
Reap what you sow?
Exactly, a common thread throughout the Bible.
For sure.
And here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, tell me.
David shifts from desperation to praise.
Okay.
He starts thanking God for his justice.
Even though he's still surrounded by enemies.
Exactly, even though he's still in the thick of it.
Wow, that's some serious faith.
It makes you wonder, how do we hold on to that kind of faith in our own struggles?
Right, how do we find that same kind of unwavering trust in God?
This final act of praise shows us something profound about David's faith.
What's that?
He believes justice will prevail, even if it's not immediate.
He's looking at the long game.
And he finds comfort and strength in praising the Lord Most High.
That's a really interesting title.
Yeah, and it wasn't just a random phrase.
What did it mean?
It was a way of acknowledging God's ultimate power and authority,
Okay.
setting him above all other gods or rulers.
Wow, so it was a huge statement of faith.
Especially in a world where so many other powers were vying for control.
Yeah, totally.
It's like David is saying, I put my trust in the one true God.
The one who's ultimately in control.
Exactly, even when things seem chaotic and unjust.
And that idea that God is in control no matter what,
Yeah,
that's a message that resonates throughout the Psalms.
it really does.
So much wisdom and comfort to be found there.
So what does this all mean for us today?
Yeah, good question.
Psalm 7 gives us a glimpse into David's heart,
Yeah, his struggles, his fears, his faith.
and it shows us how he navigated those things through prayer and through praise.
It's a powerful example to follow.
But it also raises a big question.
What's that?
Does justice always happen in this life?
That's a tough one.
Or is there something more?
Something beyond our understanding.
Exactly, and that's something for us to ponder as we face our own struggles.
To wrestle with.
And as we search for that same sense of unwavering faith that David shows us here.
To trust that God is working even when we can't see it.
That's the challenge and the hope that Psalm 7 offers us.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there.
Thanks for diving deep with me on this one.
Absolutely, anytime.